Let's join Rob Statham, president of Failsafe Network, for What is Root Cause Analysis?
I've been involved with doing root cause analysis now for over 20 years, probably 21, 22 years. And I came to find out about it. I was working in the oil and gas industry. I was a compliance person, uh, doing regulatory compliance and also safety. And we had a major incident, a failure, and we had to do it was catastrophic in our eyes. You may not have heard about it on the news, but everyone in our company heard about it. And we had to do an in-depth root cause analysis. And I was like a lot of people are, they'd heard the term, but never really figured out what exactly a root cause analysis is. So that was my first introduction, and I went to the 4-day latent cause experience, and it changed my life. It helped me at work without a doubt, but it actually changed me, and that's why I'm here today. Because I love doing this. I love sharing uh, what root cause analysis is and how it can help you, help your organization. um, I mentioned this is a screenshot of our website. One thing you'll be interested in, uh, hopefully you can see that little tab up there called More. If you go to it, that's where you'll find all sorts of things that free resources that we have, papers that we have, if you're interested in more information about what we do and how to get a handle on this. I know we probably have people from one end of the spectrum to the other, but this morning, the person on my heart is the one that wants to know what root cause analysis is and how they can apply it. Um, that's where I was. I remember that feeling, and you start looking for everything. Thank goodness for the internet, right? That's a fantastic thing. Our website, there is a dash in it. If you're trying to type it in, it's failsafe-network.com, but you probably already know that. And I did have a gift if you're so inclined and there's training that you want to schedule or there's some product that you'd like for attending this webinar. We do have a 10% coupon here. When you were checking out, you just type that in all caps. But I just wanted to put that out there for you, so you know about it. Well, I mentioned Failsafe, and I mentioned how long I've been doing this. Let me talk a little bit more about the company. Failsafe was founded in 1985 uh, by Bob Nelms, and we've been leading root cause analysis efforts, literally doing investigations, and then also training, uh, really worldwide, from Asia to Europe, and I believe every state within the United States, Canada, South America. We have been all over, and Bob started. He was an engineer, and he ended up in the uh, chemical industry in the 70s. And it was really during the birth of the reliability movement. There was no such thing as root cause analysis. And he was literally on the cutting edge. The group he was with, they got really good at what they did. In fact, Bob ended up leading that group. The first time I know of that the term root cause analysis was used. And when I say really good, literally the industry started asking this group, their reliability group, to come and teach them what they were doing. You can go back in history and look up the papers that were written, and that was really the birth of root cause analysis. And that's where fail-safe's root cause analysis methods were born. And in the past, I guess initially, if Bob were here to tell you, initially, root cause analysis really focused on understanding the physics of our problems. They were literally looking at equipment and wear and measuring everything, and got very good at understanding the physics of a failure. And as time passed, it became apparent that people were ultimately responsible for the things that we design, we create, we operate, we maintain, whether it's equipment or processes or systems. Now, today, while our method, Failsafe's method of root cause analysis, we certainly still address the physics of our problems. That's critical. We haven't let go of that. But our process goes beyond the physics and beyond people. We now identify and address not only the physical causes and the things that went wrong, but also the latent causes of an undesirable event. Latent causes are what influence people's decisions. Wouldn't you want to know why this this employee decided to stand on the rail of that man lift? We need to know why, actually, more than just somebody screaming at him and telling him to get in the basket. Latent causes are literally what influence our decisions. They're, I don't even know any other way to say it. They are the critical factor in what causes our problems. And they must be identified, they must be understood, and they must be addressed. And if you don't, you will feel like you're on a merry-go-round, like it's another day, but it's the same old, same old. Nothing's changing. Improvement seems to be like a vapor that you can't grasp. You try and try, but you never get a hold of it. Our approach to root cause analysis, as I mentioned, we call latent cause analysis, literally provides a life-changing way of seeing ourselves as part of our problems. And it addresses the issue of accountability head on by leading everyone involved to look in the mirror rather than pointing fingers at other people or things. And I promise you, the results are life-changing. I'm here today because the results are life-changing. This process goes beyond understanding why something went wrong and understanding one failure. It literally touches people, and it touches people within a community, within your organization. This process can actually improve your culture, your work culture, which that's the value of this process. It goes beyond just fulfilling what the regulators want you to do when they say do a root cause analysis. This does a root cause analysis, and you understand failure in hindsight. But what you also do is it helps improve the way you are today within your organization. I mentioned the name changed. Well, we changed it in 2006, and I remember having conversations with Bob. We went back and forth because it's different, right? Most people don't Google latent cause analysis. They'll Google root cause analysis. It's popular, but latent cause analysis is much more descriptive of what we do because we go beyond what most root cause analysis efforts go to. We go beyond that depth. As I mentioned, what's unique about us is We deal with people head on, and it's in a healthy, very healthy way. But it not only explained what we do, but there was a problem with root cause analysis, and there still is. And it's a big problem. It's like apples and oranges. People would say root cause analysis, but literally you'd have no idea what they meant, because a root cause analysis to one person was not the same thing to another. I thought of it literally, it was apples and oranges, and you didn't know if they had an apple or an orange. Let me take you back in time. Around 30 years ago, in the 90s, there were about probably 10 major root cause philosophies, and Failsafe was one of them. Today, there are literally thousands of people all over the world doing root cause analysis, but they're all doing something different, and it's not good. It's absolutely not good. In fact, what it does, it actually causes chaos. And what I'm talking about, this isn't news. Everyone in this industry, they know this. They know there's a problem, and it's not hidden. You may not hear this from root cause vendors because it doesn't ingratiate clients, but I'm being honest with you. This is the truth, and I'm not the only one that knows it. I had the honor of sitting down with this man, Professor John Carroll from MIT, Sloan Management. I'm sure you're familiar with it. He spent his career studying causal analysis, safety, our behaviors from industry to industry. And I asked him about this problem, and I want to share with you what he said. Listen to this. Professor Carroll, with your vast experience with cause analysis, what, if anything, do you wish would change about the current cause analysis efforts, if anything?
Yeah. Well, it's a real challenge. From what I've observed, there's a vast range of activities that go under the heading of cause analysis or root cause analysis or incident investigation or whatever. So, just because a company, an organization says, we did a root cause analysis, you have almost no idea what they actually did.
Do you believe that? Just because someone says they did a root cause analysis, you have almost no idea what they actually did. And that's a problem. And that's why we have changed the name of what we do to latent cause analysis. This is Failsafe's brand of root cause analysis. But another significant difference, we have a defined ending point. This process works for all sizes of failures, but it's the same. It's repeatable, and there is a defined ending point. Here's a simple definition of latent cause analysis. Excuse me. Latent cause analysis is an evidence-driven process that bans blame. We identify the causes of an incident, physical, human, and latent causes, and what we need to do, the corrective actions to help prevent similar events like that happening in the future. All of that happens while leading the people involved with the failure, with the incident, leading those people through a life-changing experience so they can see themselves as part of the problem. And it happens in such a way that when you see yourself as part of the problem, you're self-motivated to act on it. You actually change. That's what latent cause analysis does. That's a simple definition of it. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let me make sure I slow down a little bit here and define latent, because I have a twist to that word. If you're used to that word, and there are some industries that use this word, if you were to go to the dictionary and look up latent, you'd find this as a definition. It's present but not visible. When I say latent, I agree with that definition completely. If you start to look at synonyms for latent, you'll find hidden, veiled, concealed. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I say a latent cause. Unfortunately, you'll also find synonyms like this, like dormant, inactive, inert. That's not what I'm talking about. That is not the meaning of a latent cause. In fact, it's the opposite of that. When I say a latent cause, it's not dormant, it's alive. It's not inactive, it's powerful, and it's very active. So they're hard to see. They're hidden, they're veiled, but they're alive and powerful. That's our definition of latent when I say a latent cause. I share with people all the time to try to get their heads around this. Think of it, it's almost like gravity. Literally, it affects everything you do, but you don't think about it. And that's what latency does. And that's the depth that latent cause analysis goes to. That's why it's so effective. It's so effective in understanding why things go wrong. And it's even more effective in helping people grow and change and not be on a merry-go-round that it's another day, but it's the same old thing. That's the value in it. Let me go through a definition schematically. I'll show you the process of latent cause analysis that Failsafe does. Everything starts when something goes wrong. That's a domino on its side. It's fallen over. You have a visible failure. And we always respond, and this should be true for any process you're going to use, any root cause analysis process. This should be true for any process you use. You should always respond by freezing and gathering evidence. Evidence is the lifeblood of an investigation. It's fundamental. It's absolutely your beginning point of any incident investigation, a root cause analysis, a latent cause analysis, whatever you want to call it. If something goes wrong in your life, at work or at home, and you want to understand it, you have to start by looking at the evidence. Literally, we tell people that it's the lifeblood of an investigation. We learn and we change when we're confronted with truth, and that's the way I look at evidence. Is it's truth. And we spend 2 days of a 4-day latent cause experience. I mentioned that's what I went to. I believe it was 2001. 2 days is spent on evidence. That's how important it is. You need to understand what evidence is, and I'm going to tell you that here. There's 3 forms of evidence: people, physical, and paper. And we use those words to help you remember it. But you need to understand what evidence is. You need to understand the fragility of evidence, because it is fragile. You need to understand how to gather it, what I mean by freezing evidence. So it's critical that you immerse yourself in evidence. But I wanted to share this with you so you at least had a flavor for how important it is. We don't have time today to dig into this, but it's well worth your time. And we put it here: people People know things, so you need to do your best to find out what they know when something goes wrong. There's a physical manifestation of that problem that you'll see, things you can take pictures of. That's a good way to think of a way to capture physical evidence. And then there's records. There's things that people have done over time, maintenance, the way you operate, your systems are all recorded in some way. And we say paper because of the P, right? We remember 3 Ps, people, physical, paper. But naturally, our records now could certainly be electronic. There's many ways that we record things, but those are the 3 forms of evidence, and that's the beginning of a latent cause analysis. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to immerse yourself in that evidence. That's absolutely step 1. And once you do that, once you gather evidence and you look at it based on that evidence, you're going to begin to understand the physical causes of the incident. And the physical causes of the incident are, they explain how the incident occurred. You'll be amazed at how well this works. You'll be able to explain how the incident occurred, the physics of it, just basically how the fire started, how the pump stopped, how the transformer blew up or overheated. You'll be able to explain that based on evidence. And once you understand that, you'll also know it will be pointing almost to people. Physical causes are always attached to people. As I mentioned before, if we design it and create it, we're responsible for it. And this is what you'll find when you're doing latent cause analysis. And we call these human causes. Based on evidence again, you'll be able to find human causes. Oh, thank you. This is a point here. If there's things that need to change, action items that need to change, perhaps you need to use a different procedure. Perhaps you need to change an oil for lube. Any of those types of things. There's action items identified here when you understand the physical causes. And the stakeholders, the people involved based off of evidence will identify those. But after that, you'll be able then to identify the human causes. Again, I say this because people are ultimately responsible. We are. Things that we design, build, things we operate and maintain, whether it's equipment, whether it's processes, whether it's systems. If we built it, it's our responsibility. And human causes, they answer the question, who did what wrong? They identify acts that led or triggered the physical causes. And when you get here, and you can probably even sense it on this webinar, maybe you can't because you're probably comfortable. This is here for learning and knowledge. Nothing real has happened yet. But if you're on an investigation and you're at this point, I guarantee a problem pops up. And this doesn't matter if you're doing a latent cause analysis, a root cause analysis, or an incident investigation, whatever name you put on it, you're going to deal with this problem. And it's huge. The moment we begin to talk about human causes and people being responsible, it literally sucks the air out of the room. Everyone gets quiet and it gets uncomfortable. And I understand why. Some people, it scares. Others get mad. And the problem that appears here that I'm talking about, I'm going to take a little bit of time here to talk about because it's so important. This is where blame pops up. And most root cause analysis efforts, you'll find, go out and check, they do their absolute best to avoid talking about people because of this, because blame pops up and they don't know how to handle it. We know how to handle it. If you don't address blame, you're making a huge mistake. In fact, I guarantee blame is a cause of failures we experience. And blame also, it's like a virus that's infected us all. There's a paper on our website written by our founder, Bob Nelms, called The Blame Virus. Go read that. It's spot on. It tells exactly what I'm talking about here. It's our first reaction, if you will, is blame. It's often our very first thought, and it is not healthy. That's why with latent cause analysis, I told you we know how to deal with this. We literally ban blame. Blame is not allowed. When I go out and lead an investigation, and I'm gathering evidence, and I have an evidence team, the first thing on my mind, other than we're going to gather this evidence, is I am putting an end to blame, because it's everywhere you go. When things go wrong, most people's first thought isn't, I wonder how I contributed to that. Their first thought is, I wonder why they did that. It was their problem. And you may wonder what's wrong with that, or shouldn't they be accountable? And I understand why you think that, but there's two absolute terrible conditions that arise that come from that environment of blame. And the first is it immediately turns off us trying to understand. It's literally like a light switch. The moment I think it's your fault, I quit trying to understand and learn from that incident. And latent cause analysis is all about understanding to a degree that we usually don't take the time to try to understanding to the degree that it changes us, that we don't have to be faced with the same problem over and over. So we can't turn our understanding off if we're blaming people, because it shuts it off. The moment I blame someone for an incident, I'll quit trying to understand. My mind will tell me the issue's closed. It was engineering's fault. It was operations' fault. It's someone else's fault. And it's a huge mistake. And as I said, it's a major cause of future problems. There's a second reason we have to ban blame. And the product of blame with people and an entire organization, it literally affects our culture. And what it does is it keeps people from trying to learn from things that go wrong. In fact, they'll run from an incident. They will avoid learning at all costs for fear of being blamed. It literally will act like a cancer within your organization. Blame will teach people to hide. It will teach people even to lie when things go wrong. That's when I said evidence is people, physical and paper. Those people don't want to tell you what happened or what they know if they're afraid that blame and retribution is coming. And the flip side to that coin, I'm letting you know, because I've been there, the moment they realize that I'm not there to drop the axe, I'm there to understand what really happened. People then will open up and explain to you what happened. They'll tell you what they know, because it's never one person's fault. One person may be on the end of the explosion, but there were people contributing to that all along the way. And until we see that, we'll never change. That's why it's absolutely not healthy, and we ban blame. Now, the accountability issue, latent cause analysis is all about accountability. In fact, we look at the evidence with people. People see the same thing that we all see, and it changes us. I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but the bottom line is people do cause problems, but we need to learn why somebody did what they did. Why would someone spill oil at the entrance to a shop and not clean it up? And it leads to another person slips and you have a recordable injury. Why would that happen? We need to know why, not just finding that person and disciplining them. You literally need, there's more to it than that, and you need to understand why. We need to press past who did what wrong and understand not just what happened, but why it happened. That's the whole purpose of doing a root cause analysis. That's the whole purpose of doing a latent cause analysis. I may be a little biased, but I say this with, I have full assurance that this process works. I know this works. I've looked at other root cause analysis processes. I don't know that they can say that. They may tell you what happened. Very few ever tell you why. This process will tell you why. And when you learn why based on evidence, it literally changes people, which is fantastic. The last thing I'll tell you about blame and latent cause analysis is we have a golden rule of latent cause analysis. It's based off of the golden rule, and we ban blame. It requires us to seek to understand. And I share this with people as I do an investigation. In fact, when the person that calls me in, I want them to agree to this, or I'm not going to proceed, because it's that important. And what it is, and I'll read it to you just like I read it to them. We must try to understand to such an extent if we're convinced we would have done the same thing if we were that person. And you have people that scoff at this. You'll have people that shake their head like that's impossible. I'd never do that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I'll come back and I'll read it to them again. And you must try to understand. Will you try? Will you try? Because if you put yourself in their shoes and you at least understand why they did what they did, I'm not saying what they did was right. Obviously, something was wrong, right? But shouldn't we understand why they did that if we want to change things in the future? That's the whole purpose of this, that we seek to understand to such an extent we're convinced we'd have done the same thing if we were that person. And if you do this, you'll understand this is the best rule you could ever live by. You will be amazed. I've gone into so many investigations, even me, thinking, okay, I see where this is going. And when you get the whole story, it's unbelievable. It literally is shocking. You may ask why we even have to go here. It's critical that we understand the human causes, not that we want to settle here, but the human causes literally are the doorway to latent causes. That's what we're looking for. these latent causes, it's a force literally that resides within our culture. Latent causes, they're powerful. They're concealed. We don't see them, and there's not an easy way to identify them other than this that actually changes people. And latent causes are identified in 3 steps. The first, we have to understand the thoughts that were going through the involved person's mind at the time of the inappropriate intervention. Now, there's always more than one human cause. I'm not sure if I said that earlier. I definitely need to say that, emphasize that again. Who knows? Maybe the gentleman that spilled oil walking through the door was thinking something like he doesn't have time to clean up oil on that floor. Everyone knows it's part of working in that shop. There's oil everywhere on that floor. Why should he clean that one up? Do you want him to be a janitor or mechanic? He's paid to maintain equipment. Maybe those are the thoughts rolling through his mind. And then you start to go, okay, you needed to clean the oil up. I hope you know that. You should have cleaned the oil up. You should have saw that and thought, I should clean that up. But you didn't. You thought this. And when you see the gap between what he thought and what he should think based on evidence, this is all based on evidence. This isn't on what I think. When you see that gap, you remember I told you latent cause analysis is an evidence-driven process. It's based on evidence. That gap is evidence. What he was thinking and what he should have been thinking are 2 different things. Well, that's evidence. That is evidence. That's evidence of latency. So I mentioned latent causes are 3 steps. The second step, now, once we see that gap and the stakeholders are there, the people involved in the incident, and we look at the evidence, we ask them, what is it about the way we are, the way we do business, the way it is around here? What is it about the way we are that contributes to those thoughts? And that's exactly what's changing him or why he's bent that way to walk around with those thoughts is because the way we are. This place would say, we say we should take time to work safely, but we ignore problems that are safety issues for the sake of our production. And when people know that and they're in a room and they say that and they know that's the way this place is, that's not the first oil spot we've walked over. There's 100 things like this around here. Well, when you have that attitude at work, that's what's causing your problems. I talk about it like being a cucumber or a pickle. That guy that spilled the oil, it's literally like you can write your systems, procedures, processes. You can have ethics. You can have them signed. You can train. You can do whatever you want and say, we only have cucumbers in this organization. Absolutely. And cucumber, yeah, you're fresh, you're firm, you're a perfect cucumber. You come into our organization and then you throw them in a barrel of vinegar. And you put up signs that we're only cucumbers. That's all we do around here, cucumbers. And you can go past that barrel day after day after day. And I don't know if it takes a week, a month, or a year, but I guarantee you're going to walk by that barrel and you're going to look in there and you're going to find a pickle. Something's going to blow up. Something's going to come to your attention and go, whoa, that's not what we want. That's not what we do. And you can reprimand that pickle. You can send him out the gate. You can fire him. You can do whatever you want. You can throw another cucumber in there. I guarantee you're going to have more problems until you address the vinegar, the latency within an organization, within the way you are. You're going to continue to breed these problems. And that's what latent cause analysis is all about. Now, this is just organizational latent causes. I mentioned 3 steps. The third step, and this is potentially life-changing, it depends on how honest you are with yourself. And I promise you, people within a stakeholder meeting, it changes you. It changes you. A stakeholder meeting lasts 2 days and it changes you. And everyone within that stakeholder meeting then has to ask themselves, what is it about the way I am that contributes to that? They have to answer that. They write the answer down on a card and then they share it within that group. And when you have people in that group that were there, they may have been mad. They may know that I knew he spilled that oil. I knew that's why John's hurt and he should be reprimanded. And all of a sudden they're in his shoes and they know that that's the way it is around here. And then he writes down on a card that I often ignore housekeeping issues like this, thinking someone else will take care of it. And I know it's wrong. I didn't see that spill, but I've seen others and I haven't said anything. And when I do that, I'm contributing to the way it is around here. Did I spill the oil? Am I responsible for the person with recordable injury? I didn't spill the oil, but I guarantee you I played a part in that injury. I hope you see that. That's how this can be life changing, absolutely life changing. And the last thing I'll say about this is it. This is a defined ending point. Root cause analysis keep looking backwards in time. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And they keep going back. And if you want to do a true root cause analysis, you're going to end up in the garden or in a big bang, whatever you may believe. And we don't have time for that. Latent cause analysis, we have a defined ending point. And I mentioned the failure happened in the past. The gentleman got hurt in the past. How he got hurt, how he slipped, got hurt, happened in the past. Who spilled the oil happened in the past. But do you notice that latent causes are about the way we are? Not the way I was. It's the way we are. That's present tense. And that is still alive and active and causing us problems. And that can be addressed. And that's how you avoid future incidents. You have to understand latent causes. It's just critical. Absolutely critical. I'll close with this. Check my time here. I guess I have about 10 minutes. If you were to think about the ultimate goal of why you want to do investigations, why do a latent cause analysis? Is it to increase profits, to decrease injuries, to lessen your environmental footprint as a company or corporation? Those are all worthy goals. They absolutely are. I'm not gonna lessen those goals at all. You're in business to make a profit. You absolutely are, and you want to do it safely, and you want to lower your environmental footprint by all means. Those are all worthy goals, but those honestly fall far short of the goal of latent cause analysis. The basic objective of latent cause analysis is to understand why something happened, and we identify the physical causes, the human causes, the latent causes of an incident. That's absolutely true, and we have to understand those to help prevent, to act and prevent on future issues. That's the basic objective, but the ultimate objective of latent cause analysis, it's to change the way people think. People must discover their own role in things that go wrong. I cannot tell you to change. I can't tell my wife to change. I literally cannot tell anyone to change, and neither can you. You change when you discover that you need to change. And this process, latent cause analysis provides that way. It's a life-changing way to see ourselves as part of our problems. And then we're self-motivated to act. We change because we want to. I've seen it over and over again. This process addresses the issue of accountability head on, by suggesting that we look at ourselves, and it's based on evidence. And I'll be the first to tell you that repetition is key. Doing it once and changing a little is good, but you need to think this way. That's right now I have a latent cause mentality, and it changes the way you think. And that's the ultimate goal of latent cause analysis. Couple quotes I'll share with you from class attendees. I mentioned our 4-day experience. It changes people. That 4-day experience changes people. It changed me. I went to that class in Billings, Montana in 2001, and I was so fired up coming out of that. And this change people. I wanted to come back. I was working on pipeline, an oil and gas pipeline, as a regulatory compliance manager, and I wanted a lot of people to change. And the value in this process is I changed. And this quote, it reminds me of the cucumber and the pickle, right? You change people or change people. Another quote here: if you think writing action items will solve your problems, you don't understand the causes of your problems. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with action items. We need action items, but we need to get deeper than that. People need to change the way they think. You can't legislate people to do the right thing. That way it is around here. If people spill oil everywhere, they'll learn. So I'll get ready to close here. I would like some feedback from you guys. I'd like to hear what you think. If you have questions, or we'll have some time for discussion, I'll have a critique for you. I mentioned the 4-day latent cause experience, and it does change people. This is my pitch. I'm not a marketer at all, but I do believe in this. It has changed me, and I've watched it change loads and loads of other people, hundreds and hundreds of other people. Just the training. I'm not even talking about people that then take the process and use it. I remember doing one investigation. It was a major investigation. And the plant manager that brought me in was under a lot of pressure. This was a flare at Overfield, and this was shortly after the British Petroleum accident in Texas City, and which it shook an entire industry. If you don't know about that, you'll have to go back and look it up. But anyhow, this was high profile. This was huge. And he knew exactly what happened. He told me this, and he knew exactly what he was going to do. There was an operations supervisor that needed to be disciplined, and he wanted to fire him. But the company told him they wanted him to do a latent cause analysis. So that was the only reason I was there. And I did exactly what I told you I'll do. I shared the golden rule, and I made him agree to it. We shook hands on it that he was going to try. And He literally shared, I told you, what is it about the way I am? What is it about the way I am that contributes to that? He wrote this on this card. I took this card home and I put it in a frame. He wrote, I knowingly allow unsafe acts by not stopping them to keep production rates up. And he read that in front of everyone in that room, including the guy that he wanted to fire 3 weeks earlier. It changes people. It changes people. That is worth its weight in gold.